A cell phone camera is rolling as police rush the front doors of a busy strip mall. People are screaming. Business owners are ducking behind counters. And somewhere inside a salon suite, a routine haircut has turned into a crime scene. At first, the story sounds simple. An angry ex walks in and shoots a man in a barber chair. But then the paperwork surfaces. A protective order, allegations of threats, a joint account dispute, a claim of tens of thousands missing, and a spiral of online accusations so loud. It starts to drown out the only thing we can prove. 2 people are dead. Kids are left without parents. And an entire community is haunted by what happened in the middle of a normal workday. This is the Arlington Salon shooting, what we know, what's alleged, and what the aftermath reveals about money, control, fear, and a breaking point. It's the morning of Friday, July 11th, 2025 in Arlington, Texas. Just after 10 a.m., people are arriving at the Salon and Spa Galleria on South Cooper Street, a large building filled with independent suites, barbers, hairstylists, nail techs, and small business owners all working under one roof. One of those clients is a man there for something ordinary. A haircut. According to reports, William Todd Austin, 37, sits down with a barber he's been seeing for years. For the barber, it's another appointment. For the building, it's another Friday. But investigators say someone else knew exactly where Todd would be and when. A woman identified as Timone Michelle Williams, also 37, enters the building with a gun. Within minutes, gunshots. Panic erupts. People run. Someone calls 911. And suddenly, what was supposed to be a normal morning becomes a moment that will permanently change everyone inside that building. When officers arrive, they move fast, because in situations like this, the only goal is to stop the threat. Witnesses later describe chaos. Doors slamming, people hiding in suites, the sound of running feet in hallways that usually hold music and conversation. Police say Todd is found with critical injuries and is pronounced dead at the scene. Michelle is also found critically injured and is transported to the hospital, where she later dies. Authorities describe it as a murder-suicide, with no other victims physically injured. But no other injuries doesn't mean no other damage. Because everyone who heard it, saw it, or was trapped inside during it, is left carrying that moment. After a public tragedy, the internet often tries to write the story immediately. Todd was known on social media as a businessman, someone who promoted credit repair, business funding, and financial improvement. He posted testimonials, motivational captions, a lifestyle image travel, designer fashion, and a wrapped vehicle with his company branding. To many people online, he looked like someone who had made it. He also shared a more personal side. Cooking content, moments with family, and posts that blended business with everyday life. And because of that public presence, this case didn't stay private. It became a conversation fast. Michelle also had a strong reputation in the same space. She was described as a U.S. Army veteran, a business owner, and a financial professional in the credit industry. To outsiders, the relationship appeared like a power couple pairing 2 people in the same field, building brands and raising a child. They shared a son, born in late 2022. But by 2025, the public image was not matching the private reality. And that's where the case becomes more complicated, because after their deaths, people began digging into records, posts, and documents that suggested this wasn't only about romance. It was also about conflict. As details spread, one key element began appearing in discussions: a protective order filing earlier in 2025. Court documents reportedly referenced allegations of threats and behavior patterns. Reports indicate Todd was arrested at one point after the filing, with bond set relatively low, details that fueled public debate, speculation, and emotional reactions from both sides. And then there were claims of financial disputes, allegations that money was removed from accounts, claims of bank access being changed, accusations of business ownership fights, and talk of a large sum, tens of thousands, connected to a joint account and disputed control. Important note: not everything repeated online is verified. And in cases like this, rumors can spread faster than facts. But what we can say is this: the existence of legal filings and custody conflict changed how many people viewed the story, because it suggested the relationship wasn't simply on and off. It was legally contentious. After the incident, multiple people posted videos and statements claiming inside knowledge. Some defended Michelle, describing her as desperate and under pressure. Others challenged those defenses, calling out contradictions and questioning motives. Names surfaced, accusations spread. Counter-accusations followed. It became a messy online battlefield where grief, reputation, business competition, and personal conflict blended into content. And that's where a second tragedy often happens. When a real event becomes a storyline, the public sometimes forgets this isn't entertainment. There are children involved, families mourning, witnesses traumatized, and a whole building full of workers who came to do their jobs now forced to replay gunshots in their minds. One of the most heartbreaking parts of this story isn't about money or social media, it's about the barber. A man who was doing his work serving a longtime customer when violence erupted right in front of him. Later reports describe him as shaken, struggling, and unable to return to that suite. Imagine going back to the chair where it happened. Imagine touching equipment and feeling your stomach drop. Witnesses to traumatic events often deal with symptoms people don't talk about enough. Trouble sleeping, sudden panic, flashbacks, and the fear that it could happen again. In the aftermath, community members organized a fundraiser to help him restart somewhere else because he needed new tools, new equipment, and a new location. Not because business was slow, because trauma had made that space impossible to work in. In a case filled with online claims, it's important to separate categories. What police reported. A shooting inside a salon suite, resulting in 2 deaths, treated as murder-suicide. What court records suggest? There had been legal conflict earlier in 2025, including protective order filings and custody-related issues, according to reports. What the internet claimed. A flood of financial allegations, relationship accusations, and personal motives, many of which are not proven in a court of law because the case ended with both parties deceased. And that's the hardest part. There will be no trial where everything is tested, no cross-examination, no final verdict on motives. So what remains are fragments, documents, posts, and voices fighting to define what the truth really was. This story isn't just about a salon. It's about how conflict can escalate when these factors collide. A breakup with unfinished business ties, a shared child and custody disputes, money disputes and control battles, restraining orders and alleged threats, public reputations tied to social media brands, and emotional pressure with no safe exit. Most people don't realize how dangerous it can become when 2 lives are still connected financially, legally, and emotionally after a relationship ends. Especially when fear enters the picture. Especially when there's no support system strong enough to intervene early. 2 people are gone. A child lost both parents in a single morning. A barber's career was shaken at its core. And an entire building of workers learned, in the harshest way, that violence can show up in the most ordinary place during a haircut, on a workday, under bright salon lights. If there's one lesson that can be pulled from the wreckage, it's this. When relationships become dangerous, when threats, fear, and legal conflict enter the picture waiting for time to heal it, isn't always enough. Support matters. Safety planning matters. Taking warning signs seriously matters. If you found this breakdown respectful and helpful, subscribe to True Crime and Scam Stories for more cases explained clearly without gore, without sensationalism, and with the victims and survivors kept at the center. Thank you for watching.